Technology strikes again. Take two. Beginning of what is it? End of October.
End of October, yeah.
About to be November, and it's end of another month. Another time, another fishing report, and here we are.
Yeah. So we were actually just talking about how it's temperatures have definitely cooled off. It's a little chilly, even though it's I guess early evening, and it's kind of cold. So I would say that October overall was a lot of up and down. We had the storms at the beginning, lots of high, 30 plus mile an hour winds, a lot of storms.
There were a number of days over the course of this past month that I ended up having to cancel or chose to cancel because I felt like it was the best thing to do.
Yeah, it wasn't conducive to fishing.
I went hunting.
Not great. Yeah, not great to
go
get
hide in the woods.
Do something else outside. But yeah, I think that overall for me, I would say that the month was inconsistent. A lot of really cool stuff, and then some tough days, and everything in between. At all parts of the tide.
And some surprisingly tough days.
Yeah.
There were some flood tides that were surprisingly tough, even though the conditions seemed great.
Yeah.
There were some non-flood tide stuff that I did that were really tough.
Yeah.
Really tough. Just the fish sitting low, not wanting to play, being super spooky. Overall, that's what a lot of spooky fish on the flood tides, which was really, I saw stupid happy fish that would eat anything you put in front of them, but just overall, a lot of spooky fish. Just kind of surprising. The month of October was a bit surprising, and maybe we were joking about how I might have jinxed us with some stuff I said in the last video.
Yeah.
Maybe so, because I was definitely surprised at the number of days that the fish did not really want to play.
Yeah.
Or I had to work extra hard to find fish that wanted to play.
Yeah.
Also, also saw some incredible stuff this past month.
Yeah.
That stuff that I ended up seeing in the creeks with Junior and Carter that day. Absolutely incredible. Saw that again in following days. Just over the course of this past month, some great flood tides, some great low tide action, but then, like I already said, just some days that were surprisingly tough, and a number of flood tides that were either low on the number of fish that I saw or a lot of spooky fish.
I would say that for the floods, for me, I saw a lot of cruising fish. Definitely still saw tails, but there were a lot of fish that were just kind of cruising on the flat.
And I think that's a really good thing to kind of dive into real quick, because people are going to see that in November as well. So as the water is cooling down, you tend to not find as many tailers, and you tend to find more cruisers. So if you're just blind, kind of just looking for tails, it's amazing how many fish are actually there if you're seeing what you're
just
diving into.
Breaking the surface.
Yeah, moving, snaking low, cruising, subsurface. It's nice when the sun's up.
Yeah.
And you can actually see those fish. But those fish are often very willing to play.
Yeah, and I found that, you can throw your normal flies at them that you fish for a flood tide that sink. But for me personally, I've been having really good luck on those cruising fish with floating flies on the surface.
Yeah. And that's also awesome.
Because most of the time, those fish are very directional, and especially when you see them, they're up high in the water column. So there could be 18 inches of water below their head, and that's a pretty far distance for them. They will do it, but you have to get the fly pretty close. What I found is, as they're directionally cruising, as long as you get that fly floating out in front of them and just let them get to it, twitch it a little bit. We've seen everything from a trout eating a mayfly type eat, real subtle, to absolutely crushing it like a freight train. And it's been a lot of fun. But it can be hard when you're on the flood tide. It's okay, well, do I stick with the sinking fly, hoping I'll see a tailer? Or once I see a cruiser, do I make that switch to that floating fly? Or do you have two rods rigged up?
What's hard is when you have a fish that's head down, and he's really focused down, it's really hard to get him to see that floating fly.
Yeah.
Whereas it can be easier when you have a fish that's head up, cruising on the surface. If the fly, especially if it's in 18 inches of water, the fly sinks, and now you're trying to get him to see that fly. So like, what do you do? Have 2 rods? Maybe you should do a hopper dropper. That idea just came to mind, and I was like, oh, maybe we've been missing something this whole time. That way you have 2 hooks they can get snagged in the Spartina grass.
Right, that's perfect.
Just perfect.
The more things to get hooked on Spartina grass.
So I did get hooked this month, not past the barb, but I got hooked in the back about a week ago.
Nice. Yeah. I got hooked in the pant legs last week. But occupational hazard.
Yeah.
So, but I would say that too. Outside the floods this month, like you had kind of alluded to, was
Very
some
hit and
cool
miss.
stuff,
Very
some
hit and miss.
tough days. But for me, I had a few days on it was after flood tide, so the high to mid outgoing tide. Saw some pretty cool stuff, and actually found some like pretty big
I was gonna
fish.
say that's when you found those big fish.
And in like real shallow, like 10 inches of water, just cruising. And so that was really cool. But that's one of those, like, a lot of times people like will fish the floods and they're like, oh, flood's over, let's go home. But there's still fishing to be had outside of those floods. And I think that, you stay out there and see some stuff that might surprise you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the whole point of fishing.
Yeah.
It's like this journey of like finding stuff. I think there's some, worth mentioning. The sea trout and flounder are definitely getting more active right now. It's very rare in our environment here in the Low Country that you would be able to sight fish those fish, but they're
Sometimes
definitely around. That the winds and the seas, like while we did have a number of nice days this past October, the seas were generally just bad out there. So I only got to get out and look for albies once or twice. Didn't find them out there. I'm gonna still keep looking. That's a pretty cool sight, like seeing them blitzing and busting bait, like putting flies in front of them. But yeah, sea trout, flounder definitely turning on, and that's so what I've not mentioned is the past couple of days. So we finally had a cold snap, a really good cold snap, bad weather, and I fished the bad weather the past couple of days, and then today, nice weather. This is what I've been waiting for. This funk, this thing that's been going on with our fish, like this bad weather with the cold snap, where this morning it was mid 40s. I mean, it seems to what I've seen the past couple of days and what I've seen in the past is when you have this come along, it seems to trigger like, hey, let's get feeding, let's get active, let's go. Been seeing a lot of heavy feeding on shrimp the past couple of days, both in the creeks and on the flats, the open flats, like just really good action. Fish bloated with like shrimp whiskers hanging out of their mouths. Just crazy, and still wanting to eat a lure or a fly. So really cool transition. So now as things are getting cooler and we're going into November, I would hope, I don't want to jinx myself again, but I would, these fish, it's the home stretch. The shrimp are not going to be around much longer. The mullet are on their way out. It's time to eat, and that is what I'm seeing. Currently right now.
Cold snap is kind of like a dinner bell. Where we had low 70-degree water temps. You said you saw probably 65
today. I saw
today.
65, 64 today, but I think 65 was the most consistent number I saw today.
Yeah, and so that's just ringing the dinner bell saying, hey, it's about to be wintertime. This is your last chance. Like, everyone start eating. And so usually that leads to some really cool, pretty aggressive
more
behavior.
Consistent. Let's go with more consistent fishing and more consistent feeding over the course of November. Is what I've seen historically.
And that at all points of the tide. But then I guess it's worth mentioning for flood tides for November. November flood tides are very temperature dependent, and so a lot of it depends on the weather that we get. And so if you get a long period of cold weather, then it could really kind of shut down the flood tides because the fiddler crabs will kind of go into hibernation. if it stays a little bit warmer, if it stays kind of where we're at now, we could keep fishing the flood tides. But definitely something worth keeping an eye on, especially if you have like a warmer, sunnier day and it's a flood. In November, that can oftentimes be a really good bet. So.
I think the weather does definitely play a more significant role right now in November for those flood tides, whether or not those fish are going to be up there and happy, like you were saying, like you described. But they could, I mean, we could get a cold snap like this right now, and it warms up, and next thing you know, they're super happy. Another cold snap, they get unhappy. Another warm snap. I have seen them tail extremely happy in December. It can happen. It's just generally, the general trend is that it starts to cool down and those floods become less and less consistent. And eventually you just start, as we near the end of November, it just starts to get to the point where it's like, hey, we're going to be a lot better off fishing not the flood.
Right.
We're just going to see more fish, more happy, active fish, not fishing the flood.
Yeah, so we'll still be fishing floods, especially at least this first
Absolutely.
round. I will be
100% this first round.
But I mean, like for my trip tomorrow, like we're gonna be fishing around low tide stuff, and hopefully see some more cool feeding activity with the cooler weather, and I think that will continue through November, and like you said, I think a little more consistent. Hopefully weather's a little more consistent this month, which typically it is.
So what I said in the last video, was that, or did I say it in this video? Now I'm getting it mixed up because this is our second shoot of this video. Typically the weather settles down in November. And whereas like October can be very windy. We didn't get a hurricane, but we did get a lot of like turbulent weather. Whereas November things start to settle in a little better. So generally a lot of good weather and fish trying to get fat.
Good opportunities to go fish.
Great opportunities to go fish.
I still have some openings this month, so if you're looking to get out, would love to get you out. Great time of year to be out. Nice weather, good fishing, and I mean, it's always a good time.